Alright, so hot topic within the community right now is Jetpack Cat. And the 5 new heroes as a whole, really. These characters are fundamentally altering with how they're going to shape the meta. I mean, looking past the reason you clicked on this video, Mizuki is going to be our first really dueling support in a long time, which I'm really excited about because Wu Yang is Cheeks, Kiri is Cheeks, Alari is Cheeks. It's all just poke slop. Life was the last character that I got really excited for on the support roster, and then he was just kind of Mercy 2.0. They took away all the interest parts of how his kit is played and kind of took the idea of Lifeweaver and ruined him. I think conceptually Lifeweaver was really good, but he kind of fell off. But Mizuki is amazing in every way so far. Domina, first poke tank. Emre, first male hit scan. Anran is honestly pretty boring. But Jetpack Cat. Jetpack Cat is unprecedented. I mean, there is so much to unpack with this character. So, is Jetpack Cat broken? First, we're going to look at her whole kit. Numbers wise, and how it kind of plays and how they work. And then we're going to look at, is Jetpack Cat actually balanced? Because a character can be balanced by lowering their numbers. But to be an actually balanced character, you need to have a design that works. Look at Lifeweaver. They've tweaked his numbers forever. They've done soft reworks, and this character is still a little rough. He's in a significantly better spot than he was back in season, was it 4? 6? Smaga was 8. Alari was 6, so 4. Holy crap. Way back in season 4 when Weaver came out. He's come a long way. Jetpack Cat, though, just came out. And we're looking at this character and we're like kind of freaking out about it. A lot of people are freaking out about Jetpack Cat because they're crazy. A fully flying character is not something we've ever seen in Overwatch before. But I think not only can it work, I think it can probably be the best character that they've released since Queen Venture. I don't know, but it all depends what they do. So first of all, Jetpack Cat is a support with the new sub role Tactician with the 25 extra ult charge, which is pretty significant for Jetpack Cat specifically. They have no shield or armor and are 225 HP with the world's smallest hitbox, smaller than Tracers, I think. Kind of wide, though. So you can do a lot. I'm not totally sure how the hitbox works. I mean, you can look at her. I mean, we have the, like, actual jetpack, and then we have her. I don't know if this is her hitbox, and that's her head, or if, like, this is her hitbox, and that's her head. I don't know. The overview. And then I wanted to talk about the flight and the jetpack at the same time because they're kind of dependent on each other. You can't really have just a jetpack without any movement, and you can't have the movement without the jetpack. Some things the jetpack lets you do: infinite angles. You can shoot from literally anywhere, and verticality is not an issue because you can fly. And then something I don't see talked about a lot with the flying characters is that they can take unique angles. When you're on hit scan, when you're on pokier tanks, brawlier tanks, you kind of play the same places. Like Ashe, you're always on like those mid-range high grounds. Soldier, you're always rotating those kind of not flanky high grounds, but you know what I mean. But with flying characters, you can position yourself anywhere, which in a game of map control is a really underrated ability to have on a character. I mean, being able to play anywhere, and not only to be able to play anywhere, but to be able to play uncontested is very powerful. But they do lots of things they did to kind of push back on that. But distance, I think I put that there, such as like you can just kind of sit forever away, which it's not really as bad. I think they could make it a lot better right now, because like in low elo, this character's just you're cooked. Like this character's it's gonna be rough, especially because it's a cute character. I don't know how much they're gonna be willing to make stark changes. I hope they are, especially with them releasing more characters like this, but we will see. And then the flight is the most egregious mobility item I've ever seen on a support, and it's probably my least favorite part of Jetpack Cat's kit. Like, it's bad. Like, it's very, very bad. It's very, very bad in terms of, like, just doing. It's not a bad mobility item. It's bad in the sense that it's so insane. It feels terrible to play into. But we're just kind of looking at the kit right now. I'll talk more about how I feel about that in a minute, but it's not good. The projectiles, it's cute. I like it. How is it as a primary fire? I think on some characters, the primary fire is kind of one of the key drawing points. You look at characters kind of like Ramantra, and less so, Reinhardt, Junkrat. Who else has a very unique primary fire? Mei, to an extent, where like what the primary fire does is kind of intertwined with the kit. And then other times you have primary fires that feel kind of tacked on, an afterthought almost to the character as a whole. The projectiles are definitely tied in with Jetpack Cat, with the pause and the healing, and you know, it's a support. Mainly that it's a projectile is really nice. I think this is about the best they could have done. It has kind of slower heals, slower damage. But that's good. You kind of want that. 87 with reload, you kind of want that. And only the center paw crits too, so you're not getting that big of a spike. It is 2 times. I don't know the exact damage on each of the what is it? Like claws and then the main palm. I don't know each individual damage, but it's not gonna be as big of a spike in damage as like normal headshots. So even if you're nailing them, like, it's not gonna be insane. But 108 damage, 108 DPS, HPS, that's not insignificant. That's pretty decent heals. I'm not sure how that fares with other supports. I mean, I can look it up. Alright, I mean, okay. Let's just look at Ana. That's more than Ana. That's a pretty significant more than Ana. Ana's is 93.75 and 83.33 with reload. So it's pretty significant. Mercy's is 75. Who's a lot of heals? Lifeweaver. Okay. How did that do to the recording? Okay, good. So, yeah, when you look at the stats of other characters, you notice it's definitely up there, but it's not insane. So I think the primary fire is not that egregious in terms of how it works in game. I think Per is a little underwhelming, but overall, numbers wise, it's really nothing crazy. It's just kind of healing everybody, and it has that knockback too, which is kind of nice. Yeah, this is the thing. Lifeline. When I first saw this, I literally soy jacked. Like, it was, I couldn't believe it that they were making Life Grip 2 right after Life Grip 1 was such a polarizing ability that they released. It was insane. I mean, when we saw Life Grip and you could move your teammates, it was crazy. It was crazy. Lifeline is definitely a little different for the main reason that teammates confirm the pickup now. That's huge. That's something that people wanted on Life Grip, but I feel like the way Life Grip was meant to be used, they couldn't really do that. But the way Lifeline is meant to be used, you can use it a little more freely, a little more less res-like, if that makes sense. With res, you save people. With Life Grip, you save people. It's just that res, they're, dead. Oh, she was just a baby. But with here, you can also give them way more mobility. It's interesting. It's interesting. And when I'm saying teammates now have Jetpack, we talked earlier, the Jetpack, infinite mobility, infinite angles. Now give that to any character in the game, and you can run into some problems, but we'll get to more of that later. Catnapper. So, I like this. I like it a lot. I don't like that it refills mobility, but get to that later. I think overall this is not an insane ult. I mean, in high elo, you can still die pretty quickly. I mean, I play in low GM, high masters lobbies, and I mean, it's still very strong, but you can stop it, I'm sure, way more effectively in low elo, where you can just and then kill whoever you want. I wish some things about this, but we can get to that later. I think overall it's not that bad. Reinhardt can reach you. You can shoot up at her. And depending on the character, that you just kind of kill her. Like Bastion. Hit scans just kind of kill her with the 225. She does die fairly quickly. So I don't think it's terrible. And the 30% move speed while carrying tanks was a really good idea. But I do think that we can improve this overall, just for long-term longevity. Okay, so the report card. The way I did this was, as I gave each number or each letter a value, and I just did the average of those to get the overall. And I'll talk about my reasonings for each one of these categories. But you have durability for tanks. I like to consider these the 3 jobs in Overwatch. When you look at a character, how good are they doing these 3 things? And the way it should be, support should have the strongest in support, DPS should have the strongest in lethality, and tank should have the most in durability. So when we look at Jetpack Cat's durability, for example, they're not the lowest possible HP you could go, which I wouldn't mind doing. So when we're talking about Jetpack Cat, I think 225 right now is fine to test with for a little bit, maybe at least until mid-season, see how it's going. But like, the mobility as of right now is just genuinely insane. It's genuinely insane. And you'll notice a lot of these categories kind of combine multiple aspects of a character, but we'll get there. Hitbox. The hitbox is such an underrated part of tankiness. And I really cannot stress that enough. For so many characters, the size of the hitbox can be a make or break in dealing damage. For hit scans, whatever. But for your flex DPS, the characters that really can make a game unplayable or just a free game because they're feeding their brains out or playing like garbage, like, hitboxes are a huge thing in this game, and it's important to talk about how small Jetpack Cat's hitbox is when looking at them. Because they have so much mobility and so much, what's the word? Like, so much mobility, but not mobility. How do I explain this? What's the word I'm looking for? It's mobility, but it's evasive. Like, they don't just have a lot of mobility, they can get away from you really easily. Because they can go anywhere. They can go anywhere they want. They don't need to have an escape route like Genji, Venture, Sim, Sombra. They need an escape route, of course, but it doesn't need to be, it's not nearly as map dependent. It's not cooldown based. You can kind of just go in and leave with no really real way to punish you. So I think if there was something there more, maybe we could justify a small hitbox or less HP if there was something more there, but there isn't. So I think just further nerfing the pain points, if they want to keep it like that, is definitely. I give them substantial sustain because per is 300 heals over 4 seconds. That's pretty substantial. Like, that's going to heal a lot. That's more than reactivating your shield passive or, you know, some healing, activating the healing passive after a movement ability, or just shield regen normally. You know, it's not going to be, oh, this saves me in some occasions. You know, it's going to be like 300 heals is a pretty good amount, especially for a character that is as mobile and is as evasive as Jetpack Cat. So overall, they had a B. So the pressure, I ranked it at a B. I was leaning kind of towards a C, just because it's not very amazing. It's not great. But I think the positioning aspect of pressure, this is where it becomes very apparent. There's not many characters on the DPS role or support role that have kind of their existence being the pressure. You have characters like Ball, Rhine, Winston, where they kind of are in the fight, and that's kind of part of their value. Being in the fight for them gives them a lot of value just because they're there. Their presence contributes to their pressure, and this is why characters like Pharah and Echo are so oppressive, especially in their earlier iterations, because they could just kind of go wherever they want, and because they could get there, it caused a lot of issues. So when you apply that to Jetpack Cat, you look at a support that can, you know, they maybe don't have insane survivability, but if you play it right, you can live a lot of the time. You can live a lot of the time, more often than not. With that kind of presence that makes characters really annoying and really powerful, i.e. Venture, i.e. Wrecking Ball, i.e. Lucio, i.e. Tracer, characters that just kind of exist and they're so strong. Sombra's a great example. Sombra does a lot just by being played. Now, the burst, I was really, again, leaning low for this one. D, almost. Tier D. But when you go down, you swipe with the damage over time, and you're shooting at them consistently. By the time they turn around, it's a lot of damage. But that only really got it to C for me. The reason I gave them such a high burst was because of their ult. Being able to one-shot anybody is powerful, regardless of whether you can be stopped or not. That's like saying Widowmaker's headshot isn't that strong because you can die for it. Just because you can kill someone doesn't necessarily totally negate the fact that they can do something. And then CC, I put strong. CC doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, enemies. It can be teammates, but that's leaning more towards peel. So I didn't really think about Lifeline super much. Once again, I'm looking at the ult. Being able to just kind of pick someone up and throw them in your team it's insane. Like, it's insane. And the characters like Rhine, Queen, you know, immobile supports, they just die. They just die. And there's very little you can do about it as, you know, whoever's playing. Like Sig. If you have Ana Sig, Jetpack Cat, get your Ana, and then you're just kind of screwed. You just lose that fight because your main support is dead. And there was nothing you could have done about it. So, in alleviation, that just kind of means, like, it's not the same as peel or utility. It's kind of just like how much heals, really. If you're getting a lot of pressure, how good is Jetpack Cat at stopping all that pressure? I think pretty solid. Mainly, when you think about it, if you lifeline somebody and you start healing them and you don't use any booster, they're healing at almost 100. What is it? That's 75 plus 50. That's 125 heals a second. For 4 seconds. So that's stronger than a Lari beam. Not to mention the booster. So when you look at it like that, I could honestly even see a reasoning for A. And pulling it up, the reason I put B is because Per is a 12-second cooldown. I mean, you're not going to be getting that all the time. And the primary fire is definitely up there in terms of heals. So I could see bumping that up to an A. But it just felt like there's other supports that can alleviate a lot more. Like, think Lifeweaver, think Mercy. And even Alari with Pylon does get up there into that range. And Pylon can be immortal in some circumstances. So next, Peel. I think that this is a no-brainer. When I saw Lifeline, that was one of the first things I was thinking about. Was pretty much, if a Jetpack Cat has good awareness and high elo, they can just be like, okay, someone's on my teammate, and then go save their teammate, and there's once again nothing that you can do about it because of the mobility. The amount of mobility this character has is so insane when it's paired with other parts of the kit. When it comes together, it's pretty crazy. By itself, I don't think that's a lie. By itself, I think it is a little egregious, but it's not. It's not the end of the world. And then utility, S tier. I mean, it's great. Seriously, Lifeline is a really, 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 really strong utility. You're looking at saving your teammates, repositioning your teammates, getting your teammates back from spawn faster, you know, ult combos, Diva Bomb, High Noon, insane combos. It's just being able to move your teammate wherever you want is so crazy. Like, it can do so much. Obviously, it requires skill from the Jetpack Cat and confirmation, but you have to realize, I mean, it's insane how powerful that is. Maybe not, all the time, but it allows for the game to just be not even played, really. Like, it totally removes the game, almost. Think Genji Blade your Ana gone, Blade gone. And maybe even Genji feed. Right, there's a lot there. So, when you look at Jetpack Cat's whole thing, BBA, it follows the correct pattern. Overall, I think Jetpack Cat numbers-wise is honestly not that bad. I think Jetpack Cat conceptually is significantly worse than numbers. Once again, the infinite angles, I've touched on some of these things, but just to go over them again, infinite angles is always just so powerful in a game like Overwatch. I mean, when Pharah got reworked, I think it was for Season 9, when Pharah got reworked a while back, I was like, this is great. And I really thought about it. I was like, Pharah would never have come out in Overwatch 2. Like, this character has so many problems conceptually with the angles specifically that I was almost sure that the dev team would never dare try and create a character like that ever again. But I stand here with Jetpack Cat in my games. It's rough. So I hope the dev team realizes this. Hypermobility with no cooldown. I hate the idea of support characters with untrackable mobility. This is just so terrible in my brain. Like, every time I think about flight, like, it's just such... It's like... It hurts. It really does. It hurts to look at this ability. Sure, resources you can kind of, keep track of in your head, but it regenerates so fast that it's kind of negligible. You can kind of just always assume, if you see Jetpack Cat, she probably has all of this. It's not like Hazard Block, where, like, if the fight's been going on a while, it's like, okay, this character might, this character has used up its meter. Whereas Cat can get away with pretty much never using it unless they absolutely have to. Which means why use it until, to dodge everything? Because you can go wherever you want with infinite angles, infinite mobility. It's insane. It's insane speed. I think that is probably the single biggest issue with Jetpack Cat. And then Life Grip 2.0, I don't necessarily dislike how Lifeline is being used. I think there's some things that need to be addressed, but I don't think overall, I think Lifeline is a much better iteration of what Life Grip was supposed to be. Because it is definitely used for repositioning. It's the fun, unique thing that they advertise Life Grip as, and it fits the character a lot better, in my opinion. I think the Life Grip is such an awful addition. I think Lifeweaver could have been our skirmish support. I think Lifeweaver could have been an awesome addition to the roster, but he's just kind of been crammed in with the rest of Pokeslop. But I hope the rework they give him can bring more life into him. Literally. I've seen some really good Lifeweaver reworks, and from really good Life Weaver players. And the things they do aren't even that crazy. Like, Life Weaver doesn't need some massive overhaul. I just think Petal probably needs to go. If I were to design Life Weaver, grip gone, Petal gone, new character. But the things he needs, other than my wants, are not as big as some people might say. I used to be some people, but I've turned a new leaf. This is something Spilo talked about in his live stream, is that you can kind of just sit back and do whatever. There's not really a reason to engage with him, which I'm going to provide some solutions here. Probably next slide, I think, if I remember correctly, about Jetpack Cat and getting them to come down. I don't want Jetpack Cat to feel forced into her team. I want the Jetpack Cat to be rewarded for playing with their team. Not necessarily forced, but it feels naturally forced because it's the most rewarding way to play the character, is with your team in a way that doesn't make it like feel like, oh, I'm sucked to the ground because my primary fire is absolutely useless and all I can do is purr my team. Alright? That'd be boring. And the things with asterisks on them are things that, like, aren't necessarily, they're like, okay, whatever, kind of in my head, where it's not like I'm not fully committed to this idea. She's kind of gimmicky, honestly. Lifeline is really kind of it. It feels like the Jetpack and Lifeline, like, it feels like if they don't work with her properly, she's just kind of going to turn into a niche sub 48% win rate hero that kind of turns into slop. I don't think the ultimate's that bad. I have some mild suggestions for it, but I don't think it's nearly as bad as some people are talking about. Sure, it might be kind of annoying, but I think there's way more annoying characters and ultimates that I would much rather see people complaining about. And then 225, like I said, I'm fine to experiment with it for a little bit, but I think long term it'd be good to kind of definitely look at that, especially if they want to keep this level of mobility. Just even lowering it to 200, because in low elo this character is never going to die, and in high elo this character might explode. You know, I don't think, and she's not totally like explodey syndrome in high elo. Like, I'm not saying high elo players are just picking her out of the air every time, but I mean, she's pretty easy to kill depending on, you know, the skill. With people learning her, it makes sense that she'd kind of die more, but as people grow a knowledge base to these heroes and we watch as the gameplay develops, you see kind of a skill floor going and a skill ceiling developing, and it accumulatively makes a character stronger. It's why I think Venture was so overtuned at released, and they've been just steadily getting nerfed over time because people have gotten very good with Venture, and it's led to the kind of increase in difficulty for the character over time, because one, people are getting better at dealing with them, but Venture has kind of sat in this semi-overtuned state for a really long time, where they originally got 40 shields on ability, and now we're down to 25. And their extra range perk got taken away, and Covered in Dirt got taken away. In Seismic Sense is an ability we used to have. A lot of people really loved that for some reason. I was never a huge fan. I didn't think it even slightly compared to Excavation Acceleration, but I'm getting off topic. We're not talking about Venture. So, my ideas for Flight: make them dashes. I think that would make it, like I said before, I don't like the idea of a support having an untrackable movement ability, because it's like it feels like cheap. Like, how could I have possibly known? You know? And we can keep it very high mobility. You know, like 2 or 3 dashes that go super fast. Maybe not super fast, but like, was it 240% move speed buff? Maybe like 180. You know, that way, I think movement would feel better this way, honestly. It's fun zipping around, but I think it'd be even more fun dodging, you know, things. I don't know. And it'd bring more skill expression into the character instead of just go in and dash. And maybe, you know, you could chain them, make the recovery time between them very slow. That way you could chain them to get the same type of, like, move speed buff effect. Maybe one dash is, like, plus 140, and then the next dash gets you at, like, plus 190, and then the next dash gets you at plus 240. So you're going the same speed after all 3 dashes, or 2 dashes, or however you want to do it. I think dashes would just be much better for the character conceptually. And then, medium cooldown reward. I remember what I was thinking when I typed this. Kind of just like, not necessarily reward as in like, it does something else, but like, it could have like a 6-second cooldown, 6 to 8 second cooldown, and like, if you do something with it, it could, you know, do something else. Like, if you hit your teammates with it, it lowers the cooldown slightly and gives them a speed boost. I don't know how much, or, you know, it reloads their gun, or something more, you know, interesting. I think that could be really cool. Teammate interaction, that kind of goes hand in hand with the last one, but I feel like if they made the mobility interact with the teammates, like I said, it would incentivize the Jetpack Cat to come and play with their team. Like, I don't know. Maybe. God, that would be awful. Never mind. That was a terrible idea. I was about to say she could have like a soft boop on her teammates, but that would... Why would you want that? I don't know. If we go back to the dashes idea, maybe if you dash into somebody, it gives them a little heal or something. You know what I mean? And I would honestly like the heal being tied in with the mobility, because then you have kind of this thing where it's like, okay, do I, you know, heal my teammates, or do I run away? You know, or do I do both? You kind of have that skill expression thing. I think that could be a really good change, honestly. Putting them on dashes with healing hits. You know, I don't know. And then a resource rework. I was thinking maybe like if you... For, you know, it heals faster the closer you are to the ground. Or, you know, it regenerates faster the closer you are to the ground. That way it's like, it's not like you're just zooming around everywhere. You're kind of, you have to stay a little more grounded, but I don't really like that one as much because, again, it's like pulling the Jetpack Cat out of the sky. I don't want to pull Jetpack Cat out of the sky. I want to invite the Jetpack Cat down. I want to make Jetpack Cat feel like they should be inclined to come and play with their team closer within the actual combat. And then the numbers tweak, I have 2 asterisks on this because it's like, maybe if the numbers tweak, it won't be that bad. But I feel like long term, this resource thing they've been doing, so much potential, but they are so bad at using it. I think characters like Hazard, who else has been on resource meter? Hog. I think Hog is probably the best thing they've done with it. I think Hazard block could be cooler. Doom block, I hate Doom block. Ram block, I think should be on a resource meter or something. I don't know. I think there's mobility on the resource meter is kind of... I'm glad that they're branching out with their resource meters though, because before it was just blocks. Now we have a mobility. Anyway, Lifeline. So looking at Lifeline, I think, like I said, it's not super crazy, but don't allow the flight with Lifeline. That way, it's not like grip them and run away. Because like I said, you can really get some insane heals on your teammate. Especially with the fact you can take them anywhere. Think of your Rhine. I mean, he's at 100 health. You grab him, and then you fly away. And that's crazy. Like, that's crazy. That Rhine is basically the equivalent of Resurrected right now. Because he probably would have died. Right? And the next one is remove respawn cooldown. I would kind of like this, but also not really. I don't think it's a super big deal, but I have seen a lot of people complaining about it. So I think if they did that, it'd be nice. Like, it'd be nice. You know, it's really frustrating killing Cat, and then whoever you killed with Cat coming back to the fight so soon. Especially, that's got to be awful to play against in lower elo. In high elo, maybe not so much, where you kill one person and the whole fight's over. But in lower elo, where you kill 3 people, and you could still be fighting in overtime for the point, and then Jetpack Cat and the tank come back in the last, you know, in the next 12 seconds. On some maps, like, think Hollywood. Think Eichenwald. Think, okay, why are you touching? Why are you touching? Why are you touching? Anyway, I think that could be really useful. And then I put Psi, Phi, Omega, I forget. I don't know. But I marked this because it is imperative that they do this. They need to put a maximum duration on Lifeline. Like, they need to. Like, it doesn't need to be super short. Maybe like 6 seconds. But being able to hold anybody in the air forever is insane. Can you imagine if they gave Wrecking Ball's grapple, letting them hang up there to any character, hammer down orbital airstrike, right? That's insane. High Noon is crazy, which I don't think High Noon's honestly that crazy. You just get behind a wall. The thing's been the same, but then the thing is, the mobility, you could be 400 meters away and he would be able to catch you with High Noon, if he's got Lifeline. I think a maximum duration of like 6 or 7 seconds. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. I think this, out of everything I talked about though, genuinely needs to happen. I don't think the character will survive. I genuinely don't. I don't think the character will be healthy unless they do this. I just don't. I just don't. So, more noticeable alt. I think you hear the giant cats. I just think alt, kind of like Junkrat alt. Maybe it'll just be something that people get used to, but it's like, I feel like she's a little quiet. Like, just make her a little louder. Or mark the area she's going to land. I don't know if she does. She might already. But if she doesn't, maybe that'd be a good start. Just that way you know that you're about to get pounced. She might mark the area for enemies. I don't know. If they do, then that's good. But if they don't, then we gotta start on that. And another thing I thought of was slowing projectiles. Like, they could start, you're shooting at 60 meters, and then after like 20 meters, they start slowing down. And then after like 30 meters, they're traveling much slower. That way it's easier to dodge them from far away. And then the last one is the base kit Lifeline shields. Another thing Spilo said during his stream when we first saw all these guys, you die very quickly. It doesn't have to be on the alt. I could see it being on the teammate one, but rewarding the cat for playing with her team, I think could be really good. It doesn't even need to be 75. It could be 75 if they remove like 25-50 HP. That would be pretty cool. But a 300 health cat with the hitbox smaller than Tracer's, I think that's a little ridiculous. Just my personal opinion, though. And just like that, we are done. So I would like to thank you guys for watching. I'm definitely going to do more videos like this, especially on the new characters. I've recently been enjoying talking about Overwatch more than I have in actually playing Overwatch. So I will do all of these for every character. We can do a seasonal one once I get caught up with all the new releases we're going to be getting. But yeah, thanks for watching. I would love and appreciate all feedback and a discussion in the comments below. Go follow my Twitch. I'll be trying to stream there as frequent as possible. Like the video, because you're never going to get high quality content like this on the entire internet. I'm the only one with access to Google Slides. Thanks for watching, and subscribe.